The light switch in the bathroom is not working.
Oh, about that.
Did you just pull all those out?
So if you've been watching my YouTube channel for some time, or maybe you're a newcomer, you might have an array of Tasmota devices by now. Well, how do you do the care and feeding of them for like all the upgrades and changes? And there's not like any big dashboard where you can upgrade them all at once. I mean, they're all individual devices, which is a good feature. And if, well, maybe if you have 80 of them or more, yeah, that could be a pain to go to each individual one and have to click the upgrade button and wait and, well, no. So I'm sure right about now I hear all the ESP home users going, well, wait, I just clicked a little button, call it a day. Well, this video is not going to be really about an ESP home versus Tasmota. I've done that before and not about to do it again. And so if you want to check it out, you'll find the link down below. Hang around, maybe you'll learn something cool about Tasmota because there's some features that ESP Home has that Tasmota doesn't and vice versa. And it's all great that we have two awesome projects, and even more than that, there's others such as ESP Easy, etc., but that's again not what it is. We're going to show you in Tasmota how you can simply just upgrade a small batch of devices. I like to call them my alphas, which is just kind of a mixture of, say, a light switch, a plug, bulb, just some kind of production devices, but not ones that, well, that the wife has to rely on. So stuff that I rely on, and I'll know if they're messed up or not working, and I could roll them back or maybe just replace them if I really did something bad to them. But once I do that, and then say a couple days later, everything is great with those, I'll push the upgrade to all of my other devices all automatically and just watch it in real time, and we'll show you that. So we're going to show you more than just doing upgrades and things. Say there's a particular setting that you want to push to all of them at one time, such as, hey, I want to have it scan for the strongest access point. Makes sense, right? Because say I'm doing an upgrade of firmware and all the devices fall onto one, and then they got kind of a weak signal, and then about 45 minutes later or so, I think it's 44 to be exact as of the recording, they'll automatically scan and they'll level back out. I wish ESP Home would do that, but there's a cool setting you can do that, and you can push them to all of them at once, and it's pretty cool, all using MQTT. So most of the things we're going to show here is not really particular set and what version of Tasmota you have. So we'll get to the upgrades later. This really hasn't changed a whole lot. And even this would even apply going back to possibly even some of the 6.x versions. You probably shouldn't be on that old, but hey, I do understand if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? We're going to start with some of the basics of doing MQTT commands. And no, don't get too freaked out. MQTT is not scary at all. Basically, the terminology I find is very confusing. I was confused myself, and then the little light bulb clicked, and yeah, it's really simple in the way MQTT works. So you hear a lot of terms such as topic, payload, and that is particularly confusing. The topic is, think of it more of like the mailbox. And you've got a bunch of mailboxes down the road, and each individual mailbox is going to be your different smart plugs, light bulbs, switches, whatever it may be. Think of the postal service, or whatever it may be in your country you call it, USPS here. They're the MQTT broker. They're the person that's going to handle the messages back and forth between all the different mailboxes. Each mailbox has a unique name, and that's going to be the topic. In Tasmota, if you look at the configuration and go to Configure MQTT. Now, I have the topic of Tas-Power 1. And then one of the configuration options you have is the full topic. And I've always left mine at default, but yes, I know there were some previous versions of Tasmota that when you did the set option 19 to auto discover them into Home Assistant, it would flip those around. So we'll jump into the console and take a look here at some of the messages. We're going to pay attention to the ones that start with the MQT. That kind of is more of a filter of where things came from and what they pertain to in the console of Tasmota. Now, these are all going to be MQTT messages that got sent out. So these are ones that were published, which there's another one of those terms, from the Tasmota light switch or this power strip, whatever it may be, and it got published out to the broker in hopes that there was somebody else listening on the other side that would receive that message or payload. So it's sending out this stat tas power 1, which that's our full topic, and it sends out power 1. So it's basically letting anything else know that's listening on power 1 that, hey, I turned off. I am off. I'm not on. So you can put the status, say the entity in Home Assistant, and that should show as off. Of course, if we did turn on number 1 and then look at the console, now you'll see the stat or the status, but short for that, is saying power 1 on. So the cool part about what you can do with all of your Tasmota devices, and I know I've shown this before, but I'll show it again because it's such an awesome resource. If you'll jump over to tasmota.com and go to the commands section, these are all the commands, and there's a ton of them that you can send over to your Tasmota devices. Now, it can vary based on the configuration of them. Say if you only have one power relay, then of course you don't send power 4 because you don't have a 4th relay. Anything you can do with the GUI, such as we talked about going into the firmware upgrade. Hey, I want to send over start upgrade, and then you'd have to click each one. Well, let's do it from the console. Well, search for upgrade, and there it is. There's an upgrade. All you would simply do is go to the console and you would type in upgrade space 1. And that would be the same as you would hit the OTA upgrade. Now, I need to set the OTA URL. Maybe you had it wrong from previously. I know they've changed the URL in the past. It used to be Sonoff, and it was a different, it was a hack box, and you need the new URL. Well, guess what? You can do that through the OTA URL command. So say I wanted to set it to the Tasmota sensors bin. I've got a bunch of different I2C sensors, and I need that special build to get my sensors build on there. Then no, you don't have to go download it and then push it over, then do minimal or light or whatever. Guess what? Just set the OTA URL to say tasmotasensors.bin.gz if you have 8.2 or better, and just hit enter. And you can see there it sends over, puts the OTA URL. It's the same as if you went and did the firmware URL here and then there. I know you may be going, well, Travis, I like all the buttons and everything. I won't remember all those commands. Well, guess what? We're going to put those in some little automation so you can send this to multiple at the same time. So that's why we're kind of teaching this here. So what does this have to do with MQTT? You know there's a bunch of different set options. So we're going to do one as just a test here so I can kind of show you how that goes on. Is a cool little option called set option 57. There's also set option 56. What do those do? Well, right here in the commands. Wi-Fi network scan to select strongest signal on restart. 57 is going to every 44 minutes, it will look for a stronger access point. Come in here, SO57, or you could do set option 57, space 1, right? Boom, that turns on set option 57. How do we do that through MQTT? We're going to show you. There's a cool little app. If you don't already have it, you should definitely go get it. MQTT Explorer, and I can never stop looking at that photo. Props to you for doing that, Thomas. I love it. Go ahead and install MQTT Explorer, however you want to get it done. They've got Windows, Mac, Ubuntu, Linux, more downloads. Just get it done. It's all right there for you. So on the initial setup, you will need to add a new connection and just give it whatever name you want. Typically, most of us are doing just local MQTT without encryption, so you won't do the validate certificate. And put in your host name, maybe using DNS for MQTT, props to you if you are, or just put in your IP address, and then your port should be default if you've changed it, your username and your password, and hit save, and then you'll want to connect. And I've narrowed mine down by just putting in the wildcard of just TAS-power, and that's the one we were talking about. And you can see there's the telemetry, there's the last will and testament, which is showing it's online, and the status of each relay. Come to this section over here on publish. So we're going to do CMND, short for command. No, I know you're thinking the DOS thing, CMD. No, it's not. It's CMND. Then you'll put a /, and you do TAS-power1. Then you're going to do /. Remember we typed in SO57 for set option 57? Well, anything at the end, Tasmota is going to pick that up as that actual command. And no, we're not going to post JSON. We want to post raw, and we're going to post a 0 to it. And we'll hit publish. And you'll automatically see that because what happened is MQTT Explorer posted command TAS-power1 SO57 with a payload or a message of 0. So it went out to the broker, and because we're listening to everything with MQTT Explorer, it came back to us. Just like send ourselves a letter, basically. And if we go take a look at that device, on the console, there it is. We've turned off set option 57. So you can already see the power of this. You can change any option you want, pretty much. You can do any command, anything you want from MQTT. So whatever automations, I know the wheels are probably already turning with you, which is good. You can also do that with NodeRed, whatever that can publish MQTT. The power, it's just everything should have MQTT. But how do we do that to multiple devices at one time? Well, there's an option, it's called a group topic. So if you type in the word group topic, so you'll notice that when you do group topic as the command, that probably you're going to see group topic 1 Tasmotas, and maybe you might see Sonoffs if it was an older device that you've upgraded from 6.x, or is it 7 that I don't remember when they changed from Sonoff to Tasmota. Yeah, you'll probably correct me down below. That's great. Appreciate it. And you'll notice I have one called Alphas. And that's what I talked about. I have my Alphas devices, and that's going to help us just upgrade just a small subset of my devices. Tasmota is going to listen to multiple topics at one time. And if you're ever curious, how do I know what device or topic or whatever, or basically what mailbox that Tasmota device is listening to? If you do a weblog4, it's also, you can do it in the GUI, you're turning on the debug logging of Tasmota. Do a weblog4. It's going to give you a lot more stuff on the console, but go ahead and do a restart 1. Same thing as pushing the restart button at the bottom. Just do a restart 1. It's going to restart Tasmota. Now don't click away from the console because it tells you exactly everything it's listening to, every single topic, and it's pretty cool. So it said, hey, I'm going to subscribe to, and guess what? Here's it's all applying now, right? I'm going to listen to CMND TAS Power 1 / and then the £, or if you're younger, the hashtag. That's basically the wild card. So anything else after that, doesn't care what it is, Tasmota's going to listen for it. It's going to pick up those messages from that mailbox no matter what you put after that. Now you'll notice, remember group topic 1 was set to Tasmota's? Command / Tasmota's / wildcard. So now this device is listening to anything you post there. Well, guess what? All of your devices probably have Tasmota's. So if we published to command Tasmota's, that set option 57, guess what? All of them would set at one time. That's pretty cool. And now we've set that group topic 2 right there as alphas. So do CMND alphas SO 57. And it's tempting to put the space 1, but don't do that. You're going to need to put that in the payload. And we'll put the 1 and then we'll hit publish. Boom, you can see set option 57 and there it is. Now I want to show you something here. Say I want to search for, well, what devices are on alphas. I'm going to do set option 57. So guess what? All of these came back saying, hey, I turned the device setting on. Now, even if it was already on, it's just going to come back and say on no matter what. And they all came back and they said, hey, yeah, I set 57 because they all listened to that one mailbox or group topic and they picked up that payload. So hopefully you have a better understanding of how MQTT works and how things go in and out of Tasmota. And that console is going to be your friend on how things go because you can see the exact topics and everything it listens to. And then you can use the cool app of MQTT Explorer and push things back and forth. And yes, there are multiple ways in MQTT Explorer. You could even just do it from Home Assistant itself using the MQTT component. And we are going to do some building blocks upon each section and you'll see how it all kind of ties together, how you can easily maintain your devices. Really simple with MQTT. So before we do the upgrades, there's one cool tool I like to use. That way I can see all the upgrades in real time and which ones maybe didn't download it correctly or didn't reboot, whatever it may be. And you can just drill down to that device. It's really cool. It's called Tasmota Device Manager. No, it's not any type of Docker container add-on or whatever it may be. Now, there probably are some other ones. I just run this locally on my computer, and there are multiple supported operating systems. So I'll leave the link down below on this for that GitHub project, and you can download it. You can just, you don't really have to install it and get it started. So once you do start it up, there is all the settings in MQTT. It does use MQTT to talk to all the devices, which is good. I know there's some other tools out there such as TasmoAdmin. I don't particularly like them due to this time. They're not using MQTT. They're using HTTP to kind of beat on the devices. And yeah, that poor ESP8266 constantly hitting the web server on it. It's just not a good idea, especially when you're doing upgrades. Do the MQTT thing. Maybe eventually they'll put MQTT in TasmoAdmin and then we'll do a video on that potentially. Till now, we're going to use the Tasmota Device Manager. So I like to go over to the firmware tab. And you'll notice automatically you can come in here and you can sort by the version and the core program, all kind of stuff. Well, you can already see the potential. You know exactly what devices or what version, and then the cool part. And yes, I do use a local web server for my custom compiled bins, but you will notice, look, I've got some I forgot. I've deployed this probably due to put this up and just forgot about it. So if I did the upgrade, this would actually upgrade using the regular Tasmota release. Now, that's probably not a bad thing. But the cool thing is you can go scroll through and you can see there's the one I just set as the sensors bin. Really simple. You can actually just double click it and it does pull up the console. And there it is. You can see it gets the result. It set it. And guess what? The GUI automatically updates in real time. Boom, that easy. So now that I've checked all of my OTA URLs, I can see that I have 9404 on most of my devices. How do we upgrade them? Well, you think I just double click or well, then I can do the console. We're not doing that. I'm not clicking every single one of these and doing all this crap. Remember the group topic? Go down and pick on MQTT at the bottom. Now currently, as of this, they don't support showing the 4 group topics. It just shows group topic 1. But you will notice you can see the group topic is set for Tasmotas. I have several others. We won't get into that. But my alphas are set probably in group topic 2. But this will help you clean up anyone that is not set to Tasmotas. You can go through and look at the group topics on those and you can kind of clean them up. Maybe they'll add the other group topics eventually. That'd be pretty cool. You can just see them all in one shot. So it's time to upgrade. But remember, I'm just going to do those few alphas. And we're going to watch them upgrade in real time. We may have to edit the video out because we're not going to just bore you and just wait for that to upgrade. So there's a couple ways you can do it. We're wanting to push an MQTT message. Now you're going to forget, and yes, I even run into this as well. You could come in here and you could say command alphas. Now, did I name it alphas or alpha? Yeah, I see you already see the issue. You could do this, but put it into NodeRed or put it into a Home Assistant automation or some other script. You don't have to remember it next time. And yeah, you can have the URLs all set to your regular Tasmota releases. That's perfectly fine. You do not need to have a local HTTP server like I have for your bins. Now, of course, if you do want to do your own little custom bins, you would need to do that. You can put it in some sort of little button. For you GUI guys out there that are better in making little buttons and stuff, better than I am, I just stuck an automation on here. This is my Tasmota set options push. It automatically pushes all those set options I like straight over just with one button push. Well, I guess 2. You click on it and hit run actions and it just sends all those to your devices. And I'll put the YAML down below if you want to check that out. But it's just an MQTT publish. For the NodeRed folks, yeah, I do have this zoomed in. It looks funky. You can see I have just a button right here that I'll push. It does the upgrade alphas. I made it really stupid simple. I just have it push the payload of 1 and it pushes it to command alphas upgrade. And just in case so I can see the button, it does do the debug to the console here so I should see the 1. So we'll go ahead and do that. I'll push this button. However you want to do it, it's up to you. That's the ultimate cool thing about all this. You can do in multiple ways to skin that cat. We'll hit the button. There's the 1. We send it over and you can actually go into Tasmota Device Manager and we're going to sort by version number and you should potentially see, I can see one already, is they're rebooting a couple plugs down here because of the LWT. They're going offline because they're pulling the new bin files. Should be upgrading here momentarily, and we'll come back and we'll take a look at the version. So we'll hit the button, hit resort, and look at that. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 have upgraded to 9405 right there with one little command. So you could already see the power of, and here it is, I have a button that says upgrade all. But remember, I'm not going to do that because I do want to follow my rules of maybe there's a bug in 9405 that I don't want to roll that out to all my devices at once. So I'll roll to those couple devices, but you can see what I'm doing with those for upgrade all is I'm saying command Tasmotas /upgrade, and that upgrades all of my Tasmota devices at once. It's an awesome sight to see. And if you really want to annoy somebody or really well, don't do this. This is for research purposes only. If you send a command /Tasmota /power, send the payload of toggle. You could toggle all of your Tasmota devices with one button push and just probably annoy the hell out of somebody. I wonder if it'd even be better if you did pulse timer. Maybe go off and on real fast. Yeah, don't blame me. So one last tool I wanted to talk about that is pretty awesome for managing all your Tasmota devices is TasmoBackup V1. And of course, you'll know I'll leave that link down below. And actually, the couple of developers are actually in my Discord server. So if you want to join us and talk to them or nag them, no, don't do that. Well, that's Patrick. But yeah, Patrick's great for doing this. It's pretty awesome. He even did the cool stuff for the people that run the Home Assistant Supervisor. That's another video. You can do the install here, follow it along. If you do the cool Docker Compose thing, right there for you. If you do Docker Run, if you want to run it raw. And I even did one for the Unraid users. For the Unraid users, just go to the Community App Store and pick TasmoBackup. It's not just a backup app. It's an instant list of all your devices. Now, in these settings, I would go through and put in your MQTT host, username, password. Again, here you can see how that all applies. We talked about in the past as a group topic. We're using the Tasmota's group topic, and there's the topic format, which is the default, which we showed in the first section. And you can go through and set some of this other stuff. But basically what that allows you to do, because it's real quick, the discover via IP is kind of slow because it's hitting every IP and looking for a Tasmota device. Well, hey, we could just send to a group topic of Tasmotas and see which ones come back and talk to us, right? So there it is, Tasmotas. Now, if you do have a web password on your web GUI, you would need to put that right here, and then you would hit MQTT Discover. And it's going to send one message out and say, hey, who's there? And then all those devices come back, and they'll all come back at once, and you can add them all into this list. And the cool part is, once you set this up, TasmoBackup will even, if you turn that option on, it will even automatically go through and add additional devices automatically to the list, and it will back them up. So maybe you had some rules or templates or something crazy or device groups. Or you don't remember what you did because you did it once. Yes, I've been there. It will back up those files straight to your Home Assistant Supervisor if you did, or Docker container thing, whatever. And then, hey, if you're really cool, you could do the offsite backup of those, and you have backups of all your configs right there. And the files are stupid small, so you could do however many versions you want. I've got many that are back to 200 and something where I first started using TasmoBackup. So you can imagine the versioning all the way back. If I screw up something and say, hey, they worked great 2 weeks ago, I can just pull that back up and reapply it right into that device, and there she goes. And so you can use this actually if you wanted to. It's a little not real time like Tasmota Device Manager. You can actually come in here and sort for the versions, the last backup, etc. He even has it cool little color codes where if it hasn't backed up for so many days, it turns yellow and then it turns red. Maybe the device is offline for some reason. And here's all the files. If you want to go download all the different versions and everything, they're all right here. You can delete them, and the files are just sitting in that share as well if you want to manage them. If you click on the IP address, boom, you're straight into the GUI. So it's really simple to come in here to TasmoBackup. Could probably do a video on itself, but I don't do that. I just like to make long ass videos and talk a lot. But right here, and the cool part, TasmoBackup is not constantly beating on your devices through HTTP, MQTT, whatever it may be. It's quietly sitting here. Every so often, it will go through and back up a device, and you can see it's not all at one time, so it won't flood your network. And there you go, all your devices right here, and there's the list sorted, and you can jump straight to that IP address. Some cool stuff. I hope you enjoyed this video and potentially learned something. It's always cool to teach and show things with the power of MQTT with Tasmota and various other things, because there's all kind of other cool things with MQTT as well. And so don't let it scare you, confuse you. So if you got any other questions, shoot down the comments below. I'd love to hear what you're doing, or maybe I missed something. And well, that's it. You don't have to push all those buttons because you guys are already watching all my stuff, and y'all take care.